All right. Welcome, everyone, to North Wilkesboro Speedway for this weekend's NASCAR All-Star Race. We've now been joined by our most recent winner in the NASCAR Cup Series, William Byron, driver of the number 24 Liberty University Chevrolet. William, welcome to North Wilkesboro. Maybe before we get started with questions, just give us your overall thoughts of walking in today.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the Cup cars and trucks here. The garage is amazing, really well done, just the asphalt and the layout of it. It's a tight quarters area. It's really similar to Martinsville in that sense, but it's nice to see all the nice cars and just excited for the All-Star race. I think it's going to be super exciting for the fans. The different places you can watch the race from, just the overall area around the track just looks great. So I'm excited.
All right, we're going to take our first question. We'll go to Lee Spencer.
Lee Spencer, CatchFence.com. Wanted to ask you, you consider yourself a Caniac?
Yeah, that was a long game last night.
Did you make it through all 4 periods?
No, we had to, unfortunately, we had to leave. But, yeah, I was there through the first overtime, and I did watch the end of the game. That's why my voice sounds the way it does. But, yeah, I watched it, and it was tough, man. 4 overtimes, and it was about 2 in the morning. So, oh well, we'll move on to the next game, I guess. But they played really hard. I got some inspiration from watching that, definitely.
So, what kind of shape are you in for today?
I feel fine. All I have to do is sit and push some pedals and steer a wheel. So, if it was hot out, it'd be worse. But I'll be fine. Make my tire runs and give some good feedback on the truck and the Cup car. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to go to Bob and then Claire.
Bob Hoggers, Talk Sports. Follow up on that. Did you have a set time where you told yourself you had to leave, or was somebody there to pull you from the seat?
Yeah, I had a nice ride up there, Bob. So thanks to Mr. H. So yeah, I had a good seat and good opportunity to go up there to watch the game, but unfortunately had to come back home. But I think it was probably for the better for the sanity of my race teams today, so I could be ready for practice. But yeah, tough to watch it, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I was telling somebody it felt like I was getting ready for the 600 because it was about the same distance. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. So the Pit Crew Challenge tonight, you have one of the best pit crews down on pit road, and I want you to talk about what you think about the Pit Crew Challenge being a part of the All-Star Weekend and how you're looking at what your pit crew has been doing to get ready.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think those guys have a swagger about them. They've been fast on pit road all year. So, we've been top 2, I think, in pit road time. So I'm just hoping I don't screw it up and slide through the pit box. Honestly, that would be a bad beat, an embarrassing thing for the team. So hopefully I don't screw it up. Those guys can go to work and I can, launch out of the pit stall. But I think it's going to be fun, man. I grew up watching the All-Star competition at Spectrum at the Hornet Stadium or Arena, and love that. So I'm excited it's coming back in a form like it is, and that it holds some importance to the overall race.
Now about the part where you come sliding into the pit and do it in the right way. We talk about the pit stops as being the pit crew, but the driver has a big role in this too, and it does play in to the way it shakes out for the heats, et cetera. So talk about your part of it.
Yeah, I mean, my job on this pit crew deal is just to, get into the pit box as fast as I can. So, I'm going to be kicking myself if I do it wrong, but just it looks like just the way it's laid out, you've got kind of a staging area. You launch, try to get there as fast as you can because there's no speed limit. So, I think the more speed, probably the better, in terms of getting to that line quick. But you also don't want to be off the marks either. It's really important. Each week, it's really important to be on the marks. I mean, it's really critical for those guys to get set up right so they don't have to adjust. So hopefully I do all that right.
I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I believe, Mark, did you have a question?
Good afternoon. Mark Arrow, PRN. William, you said a few weeks ago after the points penalty, you thought, okay, concentrate on wins to get my playoff points. but given the string of races you've had, you're up to 5th. Do you feel like now that the regular season championship is attainable if you guys keep performing the way you're performing?
Yeah, we certainly do. That's the ultimate goal for us in this part of the season, is just to accumulate as many bonus points as possible. I think after Phoenix or somewhere along there where we maybe after COTA, we really started to see that we could put together consistently high point races, with stage finishes and stuff like that. So I think when we got knocked down on the points, the goal was to get back to 8th by the 600. So we got that back. So now I feel like we're where we need to be. And a lot of people talk about the 600 kind of being the benchmark for being close on points, because it does get thinned out after that throughout the summer. So we need to be in the top 4 or 5, I think, at this point, and we're doing what we need to do. So next week's a big points race. I mean, you've got the 4 stages, and it's long runs. So we need to make sure we bring a really good car to the 600 to kind of get those stage points up and try to put ourselves. I mean, obviously the goal is to win, but points are really important.
Are you surprised at all that given how many points were taken away, you still have that chance?
Not surprised because of the strength of the team. I think, at the time it was discouraging to kind of look at the point standings and be like, oh shoot, we're 18th now. But I think realistically, if you just put one step at a time together, you can start to point your way back forward. So nobody was really separated at the beginning of the year. There was a lot of attrition in some of the races. So, it allowed the points to be pretty close. The leader only had maybe a 20-point advantage. So it's still really tight between the top, 8 guys.
All right, I believe do we have a question here in the middle? Go ahead.
Matt Weaver, Motorsports Tribune. I don't think we're going to see shifting, right, because of the low grip and the abrasion of the track. And if that is the case on Sunday, how much more valuable is that going to be to the racing compared to what we've seen at Martinsville?
Yeah, I think it'll be tough to want to shift this weekend. I think the length of the straightaways has a lot to do with it as well. Martinsville being tight corners and long straightaways, it just gets you in that RPM range that you have that other gear to work with. So I don't think you're going to shift this weekend. I think you're going to ride around there in 4th gear and maybe shift to 5th, just all the way around to save the tires more. So it might actually work opposite of what we normally have with wanting less RPM to be able to save the rear tires. But I mean, who knows? Maybe we start shifting if the pace is fast, but I think you're going to run around there in 4th.
And then we've seen Florida Speed Weeks with New Smyrna and Daytona and Volusia. We're kind of creating a North Carolina Speed Weeks this month between, Darlington here and the big track, Hickory. How valuable is that to the community here in North Carolina to create that sort of Speed Weeks event?
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I think that's what I grew up with, was the All-Star race at Charlotte, and then I know that the race there at times wasn't the best, so we had to make adjustments. But now that we've gotten these short tracks back in order, it creates an awesome opportunity to have these late model shows on the same week, kind of transition our way through all 3 touring series and get our way to the main feature on Sunday. So it gives the fans a chance to understand what some of these late model guys do and how good they are. And I think it just puts everything kind of in an order that really builds up to Sunday. So I think that's great. I hope we get a lot of fan engagement over these next 2 weeks to build up some of the local races and take that to the big track.
All right, we're going to go up to Jeff Gluck and then up to Dustin Long.
So you're watching the Hurricanes, and I'm sure you're nervous and your heart's beating and your adrenaline's pumping. So how is that emotion compared to when you're in the car going for a win? Are they comparable at all? It's completely different?
It is comparable. I think, I watch that and I study kind of what the strategy is, and I love watching. Jordan Martinook and I have started to text a little bit here and there, and he had a lot of goals in the last series. So I love watching kind of their mannerisms and the way they handle adversity, and I think I can learn from things that they do on the ice and figure out how they handle different challenges. So honestly, I was watching that game just to see how tired they got. It was interesting to me. Like the same thing happens in a long race. Like you get tired to a certain point, and then you start to get this second wind, and you kind of come back up. And like they could have played for like four more periods. It seemed like just the adrenaline and the way that your body kind of maintains that level. So that was interesting to me. Like they talked about it on the broadcast. You could see that the players weren't really getting tired after a while. So it's interesting. Kind of the same thing happens in the car.
All right, Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Last 4 races has been a great run for you, no doubt. I think back a couple years ago to when you ran off 11 straight top 10s and had a great run going there. And I'm curious, although this is a shorter period, what is different with you as a driver? How are you better, and what are you doing differently, even in this stretch, than what you were a couple years ago when you had those 11 top 10s in a row and had that really good start to the season?
Yeah, I think I'm just more diverse than I was back then. I wasn't racing. My knowledge of racing in general wasn't as high, and I think that my decision making was a little bit naive at times. So I think that
How so?
I just went with the conservative decisions sometimes. Like I would finish in the top 10, but I would not really know what I need or be comfortable with what I needed to do on the track. So I think that my decision making now is a lot more confident because I've been in a lot of diverse situations through late models, through trucks, Xfinity. Like have enough racing knowledge now to where I think my decisions come from a place of more confidence. I used to make decisions to try to just make the right move, but I think now I'm confident in the things that I do.
So since Darlington was the last race, the most recent race, it's probably the most freshest. Can you give me an example of something that you did there that maybe a couple years ago you might have been more conservative, but you made a move and maybe it wasn't the winning move, but it helped put you in position to make the winning move, or something like that was kind of falls in that line, please?
Yeah, I think I used to set my car up at Darlington just to manage the whole race and to be there at the end. I think now I set my car up a little bit differently to be a little maybe more aggressive, run against the fence more often because there is speed up there. So, but to run against the fence all day, it takes a certain level of focus and dedication to that. So you can't be conservative, doing that. I think I had a lot of success early in my career at Darlington, just kind of running off the wall and being a little more conservative, and it yielded top 6 or 7 finishes, but it didn't yield the top 2 or 3 finishes. So I think that the line that I run at Darlington's changed, from what I used to do, and it's a lot more aggressive, takes a lot more focus. And then the decisions at the end on the restarts, I think, is just studying that, knowing those situations, and knowing what move to make just comes with experience.
You had to be more aggressive at Darlington, though, because the car can take more pounding of the wall as opposed to a couple years ago. And that's why.
It can.
So you had to adjust, right?
I had to adjust, but you can also still damage the toe in these cars. So you can do a lot of damage. I don't think we really hit the wall on Sunday. So our car was in good condition, and yeah, the old car, you hit the wall, you had a flat tire, but this car, there's still some damage to be done. The toe link bending, and when you hit the wall.
All right, we're going to go in the back. Go ahead.
William, the Eddie Hughes, Spectrum News 1. You mentioned being excited to be here racing this weekend. What is it that excites you the most to be here and racing here at North Wilkesboro?
I grew up down the road, so I think that as I touch some of these racetracks that I grew up, hearing stories about, it's great. Great for me. I grew up, Stephen Parsons and I are really good buddies, and we grew up racing legend cars. And every time we'd go to ski up in the mountains, we'd pass North Wilkesboro, and he'd have a story about, Benny or Phil racing here, and I was always kind of like, I've never seen this place. So I had only seen the sign outside as you go down the highway. But it's cool for me to actually see the place now and get some idea of all these historic places that I live right around. It's just a different vibe when I get in the car to drive up here. I feel like I go back in time a little bit. It makes me a fan again of what we do. So I just think that's cool versus going. No offense to going to, Kansas or somewhere. I love that place, but it doesn't have a lot of history for me.
All right, William, apologies. I will not get to everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Just a heads up, William is going to run out right now to go to a photo that's taking place on the front stretch.